I found the real heiress at the junkyard. The system told me to raise her. Yell at her every day. Bully her to build up her tough personality. I nodded viciously. That's way too easy. I hate kids more than anything. 16 years later, I ran into her family who came to pick her up at the school gate. I was wearing flip-flops, holding 2 starch sausages in my hand. Her parents drove a fancy car, carrying 16 gifts, 1 for each birthday from age 1 to 16. Her dad looked me up and down. Thanks for all your hard work these years. The fake heiress snuggled up to the man, looking timidly at the real heiress. Sis, please don't kick me out. The real heiress gave them a weird look, then ran straight towards me, snatching the starch sausages from my hand. Dad, you're eating this junk again. When I found the real heiress next to the trash can, she was just a month old. She was super skinny. Even her cry was as faint as a dying kitten. But the second I picked her up, she stopped crying. Her big round eyes stared right at me, then suddenly curved into little crescents. I frowned. I snorted, "Don't think you can charm me. I'm only raising you for the money." The system was kind of speechless. Then why are you pinching her cheek? I yanked my hand back immediately. Damn it, she did charm me. I pulled myself together real quick. Sticking to the evil child-raising rule, I bought her the cheapest formula in the baby store. But she didn't seem to like it much. Her little nose crinkled up. She looked totally wronged. So picky. Drink it or don't, whatever. But she babbled and reached out her little hand, grabbed my index finger and wiggled it. Early the next morning, I took an extra part-time job and got a better-tasting formula in the evening. Makes sense, right? She can't grow up if she doesn't drink good formula. How am I supposed to exchange her for money if she doesn't grow? At bedtime, she was extra quiet. I tossed and turned, checking her breath every minute, and even Googled if it's normal for babies not to cry, until the 6th time I checked. I finally woke her up. What are you doing? I'm just making sure she's not dead, that's all. When the little kid grew up to 3 years old, I could finally let my evil side run wild. Starting today, I pinched her chubby little cheeks and whispered evilly, "You'll tie your own shoelaces." Maybe it's in her genes. The real heiress was super smart. She quickly learned to tie her own shoelaces, sleep on her own, eat by herself, and even wash her own socks. What kind of abuse is this even? My plan has only just begun. Next, I'll make her learn to mop the floor, learn to cook, do all the dirty and tiring work, and make her my slave. That's the right direction. What I didn't expect was, the real heiress was super obedient and well-behaved. She did whatever I told her to, but as her strictest father, I wouldn't let her make even the smallest mistake. So when she spilled the mop water, I crossed my arms and scolded her harshly. "You're so stupid. Your real parents are gonna hate you for this." Tears welled up in her eyes. She ran into her room crying. I hurried after her right away, pressed my ear to the door to eavesdrop. The crying inside got quieter and quieter. I was burning with anxiety. Oh no, did she faint from crying? It can't be that bad, right? You're right. I'll wait 5 more minutes. That's the way. 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 1 minute, forget it. I'll just go check. Before I finished talking, I'd already pushed the door open and walked in. When I got inside, the real heiress was lying on the table drawing. I picked her up immediately. I kept a straight face and said, "I was talking nonsense just now." "You're so cute. Your parents won't hate you." "Dad, the drawing is of 2 people, one big, one small. I don't want anyone else. I only want you, Dad." I went silent. "Dad, don't cry." "I'm not crying." Later, I found out scolding her didn't work. Instead, I ended up crying every time. So I changed my strategy. I bought picture books for learning characters. I made him study like crazy. What's this new trick now? You don't get it. I'm gonna overwhelm him with schoolwork. Day 1, I taught him the pronouns you, me, and him. Day 2, I taught him words like love, hate, like, and dislike. I love Daddy. I love Daddy. Day 3. He picked everything up really quickly, just like a little chick. He chirped and chased after me, yelling, "I love Daddy. I love Daddy." I flushed red and slammed the picture book angrily. Ugh, that didn't work at all. Before he started elementary school, I needed to get him a household registration. That's when I realized I hadn't given him a name yet. I'd just been calling him Little Guy all this time. This is a crucial moment. You should give him a name he'll never forget his whole life, so he'll be miserable over it. We recommend a widely hated name like Zhaodi. I thought deeply about the word Zhao. I thought about it all night. Next day, I confidently went to register his household. And I bragged to the system. I followed your suggestion. And picked a name he's definitely gonna hate. Oh, you finally got the hang of it. Your name is Lu Jiu from now on, got it. I snickered triumphantly a few times. Heh, the little guy hates rainy days. I named him Jiu, which sounds like the Chinese word for rain. He's gonna be so mad, right? Thank you for giving me your last name, Daddy. Wait, that doesn't feel right. After he started elementary school, I ordered him to study hard no matter what. Lu Jiu nodded obediently, and he started acting a lot more mature. He stopped yelling, "I love Daddy" all day long. He did housework and homework as soon as he got home. He even made my bed before bed. See? We're really drifting apart now. That means my evil parenting plan is going great so far. But I couldn't help sneaking into his room to check up on him. After school the next day, he walked over holding 2 starch sausages he bought. Where'd you get the money for that? Didn't you sneak it into my school bag, Daddy? I put that there by accident. Oh, so you also accidentally put money there the day before yesterday. And last week too. And last month as well. Besides, this is junk food. Who said you could eat it? Under his pitiful, pleading gaze, I scarfed down both starch sausages in 2 bites. 2 hours after we got home, I walked into his room holding starch sausages I made myself. See? This is what real healthy food looks like. Lu Jiu didn't say a word, but his eyes were all shiny and bright, and ate every last bite of the sausages. What are you doing now? You don't know anything? I'm just making him test the food for poison. I walked away totally satisfied. Lu Jiu is super smart. He got full marks on almost every test. Finally, in his 3rd grade final exam, he only got 98 points on his English test. How could you be so careless? Why'd you lose those 2 points? I'm sorry, Daddy. I'll be more careful next time. Lu Jiu hung his head and apologized, and went to his room in silence. Oh, that trick works great. Before you even finished talking, I was already staring at Lu Jiu's back, quietly shedding tears. Oh my God, what have I done? You didn't do anything that bad. A few minutes later, Lu Jiu came to the kitchen to cook, and saw me squatting in the corner crying. I stood up immediately and wiped my face. Daddy, you're crying again. I'm not crying, the cooking smoke got in my eyes. Daddy, I'll get full marks next time. What do you know? I know Daddy loves me a lot. I froze up for a second and secretly wrapped my arm around his shoulder. Weren't you supposed to discipline him? Shut up, this is called playing dumb to catch him off guard. Once he trusts me completely, I'll hurt him really bad. But I waited for ages. And that chance never came. Instead, Lu Jiu came home crying one day. I hadn't seen Lu Jiu cry in ages. He slumped over the table as soon as he got home. What's wrong, Xiao Yu? Talk to Daddy. Did someone bully you? I paced around anxiously for a while. I tried to coax him for ages, before he finally cried and told me what was wrong. They said, I'm not your real son. That's all. I sighed in relief. Yeah, I picked you up next to a trash can. Lu Jiu was stunned for a second. I already knew that. I was totally calm about it. I say that to him all the time. She was picked up from a trash bin, but she never expected that to be true. She puckered her lips. She was about to cry again, so what? Lu Jiu's brain was completely overloaded. She stopped crying right away. Am I nice to you? Yep. Haven't I raised you all these years? Exactly. Even if you're not my biological daughter. Would that change anything about our life right now? Lu Jiu thought hard for a long time. No. Then what's the big deal? This was supposed to be a super tough question to answer. That would have crushed the real biological daughter mentally. Leave me alone, I've got my own rhythm. The next day, Lu Jiu went to school. Those annoying male classmates mocked her again, saying she was an abandoned kid picked up from nowhere. Kid, so what if I am... Liu Xiaohao, your clothes are all dirty. Your parents don't even teach you to wash clothes. They definitely don't love you. Shou Dabao, you always rank last in every exam. Your parents don't even care about your grades. They definitely have no expectations for you at all. Song Yaozu, you eat junk food every single day. Your parents don't even stop you. They definitely don't care about your health. The 3 kids stared at each other in confusion, their faces flushed red from holding back words. Anyway, you're still a picked-up kid. So what? My dad loves me. What do I have to be scared of? Life for Lu Jiu and I just went on like this day after day. She got into the best middle school in the city with top grades. When she entered high school, I was super excited. I moved her into an apartment near the high school. When Lu Jiu found out the rent was super expensive, she offered to work part-time as a tutor. But I panicked and said absolutely not. Why not? Working part-time as a tutor will mess up your studies. If you can't get into a good university, then you won't be able to make money to support me. Oh, that makes sense, actually. I breathed a sigh of relief, but then I got scared she'd actually take it seriously and drop out of school to work and support me. It's no problem for me to support you a few more years. This is what I call long-term investment, you know? Lu Jiu laughed. Thanks, Dad. I took out a new school bag and tossed it to her. Here, picked it up on the road. Dad, I can still use my old school bag. Just use it when I tell you to. Quit yapping so much. Lu Jiu took the school bag with a big grin. Before leaving for school, she poked her head out and said, Dad, I want to eat starch sausages. Got it. That same evening, I waited at the school gate super early with the starch sausages, ready to pick her up from school. A super fancy luxury car that looked crazy expensive, parked right at the school gate. Under the shocked and envious stares of all the parents, 4 people got out of the car. The couple leading the way looked very well maintained. They were covered in fancy, expensive jewelry. The other 2 were probably brother and sister. The younger sister was clutching her brother's sleeve, looking nervous, while the brother glanced around with a look of disgust, like he didn't even want to stand near people like us. The system that had been quiet for ages suddenly popped up. The Shu family is here to pick up the real daughter. I froze right where I stood. The system had told me before, when I raised Lu Jiu to 16 years old, her biological parents would come to pick her up. But I never expected this day to come so suddenly. I subconsciously wanted to step forward, but I looked down at what I was wearing. Flip-flops on my feet, a 30 yuan t-shirt on my body. My hair was a little messy. 2 starch sausages in my hand. It was a sharp contrast to Lu Jiu's biological family. I pursed my lips. I didn't move. 2 minutes later, the high school let out for the day. Lu Jiu was standing on the other side, her hair tied in a neat high ponytail, her school uniform sleeves rolled up a little, showing her firm forearm. She looked like she had something happy to share with me. Her eyes were all sparkling. She looked around eagerly. She knew I would definitely come to pick her up from school, but I couldn't help hiding further back in the crowd. Before Lu Jiu could spot me, the Shu family found her first. They seemed to have investigated Lu Jiu beforehand and knew exactly what she looked like. Mrs. Zhu stepped forward first. She called her softly with tears in her eyes. Anan, is that you? Excuse me, Auntie, you've got the wrong person. Mr. Shu followed right behind her. While looking Lu Jiu up and down, he explained, I'm Xu Jiming from Shu's group. Your name is Shu Anan. You are our biological daughter. We are here today to take you home. People around all turned to stare at them. Lu Shu took a deep breath. She awkwardly stepped to the side. What is going on here? Is this a street prank show? I still have to go home and cook for my dad. Can you guys pick someone else? Mrs. Shu gasped sharply, like she just heard something terrifying. You have to cook at home. Oh, my poor baby girl. What kind of miserable life have you been living? Lu Jiu, who had been keeping a polite demeanor, turned stern after hearing these words. Before she could let her anger show, the little princess-like girl stepped forward. She was wiping tears from her eyes and bowed to Lu Jiu while sobbing. I'm sorry. I've taken your place all these years. But Mom and Dad have doted on me for so long, I really don't want to leave them. Can you please not kick me out? As long as you don't kick me out, I'll work as your maid. Shu is the daughter the Shu family lost 16 years ago. Their first meeting is so sloppy. No matter what. It shouldn't be at the school gate, in such a crowded public place, right? They even made the fake heiress apologize, looking all sad and wronged in public. Don't they care about Lu Jiu's feelings at all? The system noticed I was itching to step in. It warned me not to go over. You'll get the money once she goes home with them. I clenched my fist to hold back my anger. Then another voice sounded. Mingju, you don't have to be so humble. The boy wrapped an arm around Shu Mingju's shoulders lovingly. Then he blocked Lu Jiu's way. Huh? Is this how you treat your family? I bet he wanted to look down at Lu Jiu condescendingly. But Lu Jiu has had good nutrition all these years. She's as tall as this boy, so he could only try to intimidate Lu Jiu with his aura. Mom and Dad have been looking for you for years. Do you have no conscience or manners at all? Mingju apologized to you while crying, and you didn't even react. Are you a cold-blooded monster? Lu Jiu couldn't take it anymore. She took a deep breath and yelled towards the security booth, Uncle Security, someone's harassing me. Lu Jiu has a great personality and high EQ. Whether it's teachers, classmates, canteen aunts, or security uncles, everyone loves her a lot. At her shout, the onlooking security guards immediately rushed over, waving their steel forks. Back off, back off, back off! The privileged Shu family had never been treated like this before. They stammered out explanations. As they stepped back, Lu Jiu snuck past them in the chaos. She quickly scanned the crowd for a while and locked onto where I was standing. Like a lively little bird, she hopped over to me cheerfully. When she spotted the snack in my hand, Dad, you ate junk food again. I put on a guilty face and said, nonsense. I made this myself. Lu Jiu squinted her eyes and took a close look at the starch sausage. She said with absolute certainty, this is bought from outside. The starch sausages you fry always have a little burnt spot. Keep your voice down. It's not something to be proud of. I even brought a portion of this junk food for you, okay? Thanks, Dad. I grabbed her hand and hurried home without looking back. I didn't dare turn around, like if I looked back even once, the Shu family would chase after us. On the way, I asked how her day went. I had a great day today. We're having parent-teacher conferences for the final exam. I have a surprise for you. She paused for a moment, then looked a little upset. But when school was over, I ran into a bunch of lunatics at the school gate. They kept saying my name is Shu An. I've heard of Shu Group before, but how could I be their daughter? My heart skipped a beat. I asked tentatively, what if you really are? Lu Jiu suddenly stopped walking, under my nervous and worried gaze. She answered seriously, if they really are my family, then I'll definitely send them to the best mental hospital for treatment. I couldn't help laughing. After a while, I still couldn't help saying, but they are very rich. Lu Jiu nodded seriously, yeah! I'll send them for treatment, then donate all the money to people who need it more. With their mental state, can they even spend money properly? It's better to let others spend it for them. I nodded in full agreement. Baby girl, you're so thoughtful. Lu Jiu curled the corners of her mouth and said, it's all because you taught me well, Dad. We chatted like this all the way, and walked home laughing and chatting. But right after we finished making dinner, uninvited guests knocked on the door. No need to guess, it was the Zhu family coming to us. I knew this day would come sooner or later. I was just about to stand up, when Lu Jiu stood up first. His tone was calm. Dad, let me get the door. The 4 members of the Shu family stood neatly at the door. Mrs. Zhu was afraid she would slam the door shut. She quickly took out her birth certificate. Then she grabbed her hand while sobbing. That was all a misunderstanding just now. I'm really your biological mother. Lu Jiu looked back at me. I avoided her gaze. Fine, come in and talk. Lu Jiu lowered her eyes. She stepped aside to make way. After that farce just now, the 4 of them acted a little more distant, but they were also acting much more normal than before. This is your older brother, Shu Lingtian. He's 3 years older than you. Mrs. Shu started introducing her family members. This is Shu Mingju. She was born an hour after you. Back then, the nanny and I gave birth at the same hospital. She secretly swapped our babies. Then she abandoned you. Not long ago, we found out that Juju isn't my biological daughter. We immediately used all our connections to investigate. It wasn't until yesterday that we got a lead on where you were. Mommy never imagined you were living like this. Mrs. Shu glanced at the interior decor of the house. There was undisguised disgust in her tearful voice. How can anyone live in a place like this? Lu Jiu's expression turned cold. Why can't we live here? In Lu Jiu's mind, we decorated this home bit by bit together. In the summer, we sat together in front of the second-hand AC eating watermelon and enjoying the cool air. In the winter, we held hot water bottles and huddled on the old sofa watching TV together. Huh? What kind of tone is that? Shu Jiming was losing his patience, especially since Lu Jiu had disrespected him, her father, twice in a row. You have no respect for your elders, and you don't know your manners. You don't act like a member of the Shu family at all. He slammed his hand on the table right away. He frowned and glared at Lu Jiu. Cut the crap. You're coming home with us right now. Shu Mingzhu quickly rubbed Shu Jiming's back to calm him down. Dad, don't get mad. We have to give sister some time to pack her luggage. What's there to pack in this dump? Shu Mingzhu looked at Lu Jiu again. She said in a soft voice, hurry and apologize to Dad. Dad has a bad heart. Don't make him angry. Mom and Dad really want you to come home. We prepared so many gifts for you. Jewelry, custom-made gowns. I picked all of them out carefully. Shu Lingtian, who was standing nearby, chimed in. Mom, Dad, and Mingzhu worked so hard to prepare 16 birthday gifts for you. Looks like all that effort was for nothing. Lu Jiu sat off to the side. She let out a scoff when she heard that. You guys seem like a really happy family, playing off each other like that. It doesn't look like you're missing me at all. My dad and I are doing just fine. You don't have to worry about us. Please leave. This isn't your call. Since you are blood of the Shu family, we can't leave you out here wandering. The Shu family can afford to support Mingzhu. We can afford to support you too. As for your adoptive father, the group finally deigned to glance my way. Shu Jiming's tone carried a hint of threat. We won't treat you badly. Mrs. Zhu pulled a card out of her bag and set it on the table. She pushed it towards me. This is your compensation. There's 10 million yuan inside. Thank you for raising her. There wasn't much gratitude in her eyes. It was mostly just businesslike. There was even a hint of contempt in it. I could tell. She wasn't satisfied with the way I raised Lu Jiu. She preferred daughters like Xu Mingju, who were well-behaved, sensible, knew how to act cute and win people over. But in my eyes, my Jiu is the best kid in the whole world. I clenched my fist and was just about to blow up when I heard the system's voice. Host, don't be an idiot. Those are her real biological parents. Plus, you raised her for 16 years. Isn't this exactly what you've been waiting for? Once the real rich daughter goes home, the system will give you another sum of money. Isn't that what you wanted from the very start? I bit my lip. This really was what I wanted at first. But after all these years, Lu Jiu has become a part of my life. I can't just let her go. It's like I can't give up my own life. The second I looked up, Lu Jiu and I made eye contact. She was staring at me quietly, waiting for my answer. Her eyes were like a pair of obsidian stones. There's power hidden beneath that calm. That's what I got from 16 years of hard work. And 16 years of love. I shaped her into who she is bit by bit. I don't want to give up. Under everyone's watchful gaze, I opened my mouth. But the system alerted the host again. Have you ever thought from the kid's perspective? The Xu family is extremely wealthy and powerful. If she goes back to their home, she can have anything she wants. With you, she can only live in a rental apartment, wear cheap stuff, and even cook and clean for you, shouldering heavy burdens at such a young age. At the Xu family, she won't have to worry about not having money for rent or paying for after-school classes, and plenty of people will wait on her. Do you really want to let your own selfishness make her suffer a hard life with you? I froze right there. Everything the system said made perfect sense. But all the little moments I spent with Jiu over 16 years came flooding back to me. I couldn't help arguing back in my head. But they don't even treat Jiu well. This is the first time they've met her. And the whole family is already trying to put a 16-year-old girl in her place. I want Jiu to go home to enjoy a good life, not keep suffering in a different place. I tried to convince myself, if Jiu got to choose, she would definitely pick living with me. She's only 16 right now. How would she know how important money and power are? But you're already an adult. You should know this is a path she has to take. She's the real biological daughter of the Xu family. She needs to get used to her new identity first, and win everyone's love with her own efforts, step by step. After these hardships, she'll have a lifetime of happiness. Do you want her to have long-term pain or short-term pain? I fell silent. I couldn't find any excuse to argue with the system. Lu Jiu relies on me, because for 16 years, I was the only family she could count on. I've barely given her anything real in return. The Xu family's bad attitude towards her must be because they don't know Jiu yet. Once they spend more time with her, they'll definitely be just like me and think Jiu is the best girl in the world. Under Lu Jiu's gaze, I reached out and picked up that bank card silently. Madame Xu was very satisfied with my choice. Then she looked at Jiu as if to say he already doesn't want you. You have nowhere else to go. I didn't know how to explain to Lu Jiu, so I kept my head down the whole time. But just like I said, Jiu is a sensible, good kid. She didn't ask anything, and already guessed what my choice was. She stood up, went back to her room silently, and packed her luggage. 5 minutes later, she walked out carrying her newly bought school bag, and barely took anything with her. Seeing her being so straightforward and well-behaved, the Zhu couple's expressions softened a little. Madame Xu held Zhu's hand. Let's go. Xu Mingzhu didn't seem to expect that Lu Jiu would agree to go home so easily. It's so great you can let go of the past, sis. She glanced at me and pretended to speak casually. But Uncle raised you for 16 years. Aren't you going to say goodbye to him? Lu Jiu didn't say a word, but I started to regret my decision. Memories flooded into my mind again, and I couldn't control myself from taking a step forward. The system screamed in my head. Don't go over there. Let her go home. Even if you want her to stay, do you have the ability to keep her? The Xu family could make you die a horrible death, with just a flick of their wrist. This is wrong. I yelled back in my head just as loud. I actually think she should go back, but I can't make the choice for her. I haven't asked her yet what she actually wants to choose. I grabbed Lu Jiu's wrist, lifted up that bank card, and stared at her eyes nervously. Xiu, I haven't asked you yet. Do you want to leave? If you don't, Daddy won't take anything. Even if the Xu family sues me in court, I don't care at all. I knew Xiaoyu definitely didn't want to leave. Her eyes were clearly filled with reluctance. But under everyone's uneasy, Gazes. Lu Jiu stuffed that bank card back into my palm, shook her head. Uncle Lu, is the money not enough? I froze. Lu Jiu looked down at me and didn't pull her hand out of mine. She only repeated, is the money not enough? She looked at Madame Xu again. Mom, Uncle Lu has treated me really well all these years. Mrs. Zhu got the hint right away, smiled and pulled out another card to hand over. Sorry about that. I didn't think this through carefully. Here's another 5 million yuan. Take this, I said nothing, but my heart went cold little by little. Yeah, right. I took the money and let him go so easily just now. And now I'm pulling this whole stunt. What other reason could there be except me thinking the first amount wasn't enough? Seeing I didn't react, Jiu stuffed this card into my hand too. I slowly loosened my grip and forced a weak smile. Jiu, you must be happy in the future. Before I finished speaking, Lu Jiu had already turned around and walked out. I ran straight to the balcony immediately and watched him get into the car. I finally couldn't hold it back, ran back to the bedroom and cried my eyes out. I cried for a whole full hour before the system dared to speak up. Don't cry, host. You've already completed your mission. I'll give you another 10 million yuan later. You'll be a self-made millionaire from now on. Shut up, I cursed at him through sobs. Do you really have no feelings at all? Didn't you watch him grow up bit by bit with your own eyes? The system was silent for a while, as if it had made up its mind about something. It said tentatively, if you miss you that much, I can swap your reward money for a follow camera. Whenever you miss him in the future, you can turn on the camera to see him anytime. My crying stopped abruptly. I sat up with a sharp jolt. Then I want to watch right now. The camera showed the quiet family sitting in the car. Uncle Lu calls you Jiu, right? I think Anan sounds much nicer. But if you're not used to that, we can call you Jiu for now. No need, I like the name and more. Mrs. Xu was very satisfied and nodded her head approvingly. Seeing this, Xu Mingzhu, who sat nearby, pressed her lips together, suddenly spoke up with a fake smile. Older sister must have seen through Uncle Lu's true character. That's why she was willing to let you leave. But older sister is really ruthless too, able to let you go just like that. I really admire older sister for her guts. Lu Jiu's calm gaze fell on her face. Xu Mingzhu felt creeped out by his stare, but she still had to keep smiling in front of the family, until Lu Jiu said gently, yes, I did see through Uncle Lu's true character, and I can tell Mom and Dad came to pick me up sincerely. You're the same, right? Xu Mingzhu was stunned for a second. Same as what? Lu Jiu explained patiently. Aren't you the nanny's daughter? You're still living in our house right now. It must be because you saw through your biological mom's vicious nature, and Mom kindly took you in. But the difference between us is you chose to leave your biological mom, while I chose to go back to my biological mom. Lu Jiu leaned lightly on Mrs. Xu's shoulder and looked at Xu Mingzhu with a bright smile. So you're even more gutsy than me. I watched the scene in front of me and couldn't help laughing through my tears. He called you vicious, and you're still laughing. Who cares? I wiped my tears, my voice full of pride. As long as Jiu doesn't get the short end of the stick. So what if I'm called vicious? Starting from that day, I turned on the camera whenever I was free. At first, I was worried Jiu couldn't protect himself after going back and would get bullied by the whole family. But gradually, I let go of that worry completely. The first week he got back home, Xu Mingzhu cried to Mrs. Xu, saying Jiu stole something. Xiu said nothing at all, and pulled up the bedroom security camera he installed himself, which showed Xu Mingzhu had framed him on purpose. 1 month after returning home, Xu Lingtian complained to Xu Jiming, saying Jiu had touched his important documents without permission. Jiu silently took out his schedule, saying he had been helping Dad with work the whole month. Xu Lingtian got a harsh scolding from Xu Jiming. After several such incidents, the couple was more and more satisfied with Lu Jiu. Mrs. Xu even held his hand tightly and said sympathetically, those two kids are so spoiled. You're the only sensible one. Thank you for all your hard work these days. Lu Jiu shook his head obediently. It's okay. We're all family now. I just hope they won't say those hurtful things again. Mrs. Xu was stunned for a moment. When the family was having breakfast that morning, Xu Lingtian and Xu Mingzhu complained together, saying, Xu Mingzhu only touched Jiu's tattered school bag once. Lu Jiu kicked him out of the room with a cold face. It was obvious that Lu Jiu didn't really want to stay. There's no way the couple didn't have doubts about this. But Lu Jiu said softly, I think, whether a person is sincere or not, doesn't depend on what he says. It depends on what he does. The couple stared at her for a moment. Xu Jiming suddenly asked, Did that Lu guy teach you this? Lu Jiu didn't argue back. She nodded openly and answered, "Yeah, he did. Uncle Lou is greedy for money, sure, but he taught me a lot of life lessons. And that's exactly why I can be a better daughter to you, Mom and Dad. I've already let go of the past. I hope brother and sister can let it go soon, too." The couple exchanged a look, and both saw surprise and admiration in each other's eyes. Watching from the other side, I quietly shed tears, too. "Are you sad because of what he said about you?" I shook my head and didn't bother explaining to the system anymore. In the following days, Lu Ju gradually won Xu Jiming's favor. She learns things really fast. Whether it's company affairs or social interactions, she can handle everything perfectly. Even projects that Xu Lingtian couldn't handle well, she can get the hang of them quickly. Her status in the Xu family kept rising steadily, until 1 month later, Mrs. Xu suddenly fell ill and needed a blood transfusion. Lu Ju, who had the same rare blood type, chose to donate blood without hesitation. On the other side, my heart ached so bad I cried nonstop. I secretly bought a lot of nutritional supplements, but had no idea what excuse to use to send them over, so I was running around anxiously. Before I could come up with an excuse, I saw a farce break out in the hospital ward. It started when Xu Lingtian messed up a big cooperation deal. The second Xu Lingtian walked into the ward, Xu Jiming pointed at his nose and scolded him for being useless. "I've taught you hand by hand for so many years, and you're still worse than An, who just got familiar with the family business." Lu Ju waved her hands to calm him down. "Dad, don't be angry. If brother can't handle it, I can give it a shot." That sentence was like adding fuel to the fire. Xu Lingtian blew up instantly. "Don't think you're so great. You're just a walking blood bank. If Mom hadn't gotten sick, there's no way we would have picked you up to come home." As soon as he said that, the room fell dead silent. Xu Jiming and Mrs. Xu both looked at Lu Ju in panic. Lu Ju slowly lowered her head and sobbed softly under everyone's gaze. Mrs. Xu quickly grabbed her hand and explained in a fluster, "Don't listen to his nonsense. How could Mom ever treat you like a blood bank? I didn't know I would get sick either." Mrs. Xu wanted to keep making excuses, but when she met Jiu's all-seeing and completely heartbroken eyes, she couldn't say anything else. But what no one expected was, the next second Lu Jiu held Mrs. Xu's hand, and when she opened her palm, a protective talisman lay quietly in Mrs. Xu's hand. "I knelt in front of the Buddha last night and wove this myself over a whole day and night." Her voice was very soft, but it hit everyone's heart hard. "Mom, you don't have to lie to me. Even if you really see me as a blood bank, I'm still willing to donate blood to you. Just because you're my mom?" Mrs. Zhu was stunned for a second, then suddenly hugged Zhu tight and cried her heart out. Xu Jiming, standing beside, was also deeply moved. He turned around and quietly wiped the tears from the corner of his eye. Watching this scene from the other side, I stared blankly. "Host, this is so touching this time. Why aren't you crying instead?" I rubbed my eyes. "I can't cry, because I recognize the talisman in Mrs. Xu's hand. That was the year before last, when Zhu and I wanted to set up a street stall. We bought those talismans wholesale online, 9.9 yuan for 10 pieces, with free shipping. Since then, Lu Ju's status in the Xu family got even higher. Mrs. Xu trusted her and doted on her. Xu Jiming also shifted the focus of his training, from Xu Lingtian to Lu Jiu. Seeing Zhu living very comfortably in the Xu family, I gradually relaxed too. But when I looked at the empty house, I still felt down once in a while. It was soon the end of the semester. I got a group message from the teacher about the parent-teacher conference. I suddenly remembered the day Xujia came to find me. That day, Lu Jiu said when the end of semester parent-teacher conference comes, she has a surprise for me. I went to the school just to give it a try. The head teacher handed me a time capsule. This is the time capsule every student buried at the beginning of the semester. After I opened it, there was a letter written by Lu Jiu herself inside. The first line of the letter read, "Dad, I have a secret. Actually, I know your secret. These past few years, I've always been able to hear you talking to another voice. I didn't want to tell you at first, 'cause you always praise me in your head. I love hearing that. I don't care what my real identity is either. I only know Dad will never abandon me. That's all that matters. But lately, I found someone is following me secretly. I don't think I can stay with Dad for much longer. But please trust me, Dad. I'll definitely come back, just like how you found me back then." I was completely stunned. She actually knew I existed. "That's impossible. Why?" The plot was still unfolding. This question was answered very soon. The TV reported that the Xu family was facing a financial crisis. At the critical moment, the 16-year-old daughter of the Xu family stepped in and turned the tide. At this moment, both the system and I understood Why Lu Jiu did this? She left back then, because she had no choice. Now no one can control her anymore. Just then, I got a call from Lu Jiu. Dad, I want to go home. Can you come pick me up? I hopped on my electric scooter and rushed to the villa area. I cried and laughed the whole way. The system didn't stop me this time. It even guided me to a route with all green lights. From far away, I saw Lu Jiu standing by the road with a suitcase. Mrs. Xu and Xu Jiming were next to her, stopping her from leaving. They wouldn't let her go. Anan, if you leave, what will happen to the Xu family? Xu Jiming had dark circles under his eyes. He obviously knew by now that all of this was Lu Jiu's doing. But right now, he could only beg Lu Jiu humbly not to let the Xu family's business be destroyed overnight. Mrs. Xu also grabbed her hand shakily. Anan, I don't want you to leave. Can't you just stay and spend the rest of my life with your mom? Xu Lingtian and Xu Mingzhu stood off to the side, their faces turning pale then green repeatedly. Lu Jiu saw me. Her dark eyes lit up immediately. She pushed through the crowd, grabbed my hand and left. Stop right there, Mrs. Xu screamed shakily. She's my daughter. You can't take her away. I stopped in my tracks and turned to look at her. She's your daughter. Then let me ask you, where did you lose her? Mrs. Xu stared at me fiercely. By the trash can in the alley behind the first hospital. Was it a recyclable or non-recyclable trash can? Mrs. Xu was stunned for a second and answered subconsciously, it should be recyclable. Wrong, it's non-recyclable. I squeezed Lu Jiu's hand. Then this isn't the one you lost. Mrs. Xu corrected herself quickly. Oh, it should be non-recyclable. I remembered it wrong. I nodded. Good that you know it's non-recyclable. 16 years ago, I found a dusty gem next to that trash can. She was barely breathing. Her cries were so weak. I took her to the hospital for a checkup. The doctor said she had a rare disease gene, and her chance of survival was very low. Later, I managed to raise her alive. This gem was cleaned of all its dust, and everyone could see how dazzling she was. Even the original owner who threw her away came looking for her. But I always knew, she doesn't belong to anyone. Even though I was the one who saved her in the first place, I would never set her in any piece of jewelry. She deserves to shine freely. Xu and I went back home. I bought this small house already. I replaced the creaky wooden floor in the living room and repainted all the walls. But I didn't touch Xiu's room at all. Everything was just the way it was when she left. You can really hear me talking to the system. Lu Xiu nodded. My face turned red immediately. Does that mean all those silly acts I did every day were all heard by you? Lu Jiu laughed and said, I only started hearing them in the past few years. When you're emotional, Dad, I can hear things more clearly, especially the day the Zhu family came to pick me up. I heard all your inner struggles. I was almost convinced by the system that day. What the system said made a lot of sense, but he got one thing wrong. Even though I'm only 16, I know how important money and power are, and precisely because I know that, so I will never let them become a barrier between Dad and me. I hugged Lu Jiu tightly. My daughter is way more capable than I ever imagined. She really is the best kid in the whole world. Later on, Lu Jiu got accepted into the top finance program nationwide. I moved to a place near the campus. She goes to school during the day. She comes home at night to run the company. All members of the Xu family are as timid as quails, totally well-behaved. Not long after, Mrs. Xu's illness relapsed. But this time, she didn't ask Lu Jiu to donate blood. She asked to meet Jiu instead. When a person is on their deathbed, she kept looking Lu Jiu up and down. If I'd known you'd turn out so great, I would never have abandoned you back then. I really thought you couldn't keep Anan alive. Do you hate me? Lu Jiu shook her head. You gave me my life, and you let me meet my dad. Mrs. Xu was stunned for a second before she suddenly smiled in relief. The name Xiu really suits you perfectly. After Xiu graduated, she gradually built the Xu family's business bigger and stronger. But at the peak of the company's success, she donated half of her shares. He smiled and said to me, we can't spend all this money in our lifetime anyway. Might as well let other people spend some for us. We travel around the world when we have free time. When we're busy, he works overtime at the company. I sell starch sausage sticks downstairs of the office building. 2 yuan per stick. Honest to everyone, no cheating. I save 1 stick for him every single day. We eat it while chatting on our way home. Sometimes I still think of the system. After all, it's been 16 whole years. It watched Jiu grow up with me. But ever since Jiu came back home, the system has been nowhere to be found. Until a few years later, the system suddenly showed up in my dream. Hey, transfer some money to this card for me. Did you switch to scamming people now? It's all your fault. You and Jiu changed my system code. I couldn't hold back for a second. And I bonded with an orphanage director. Now he has run out of money, and the kids are still waiting for their meals. I looked at it with a curious face. How did Jiu and I change you? The system gave a vague answer at first. Under my persistent questioning, it finally threw its operating rules at me. It said the last rule popped up out of nowhere. 1. Help the host grow and develop according to the character setting. 2. Do not take actions that go beyond the established plot. 10. When love appears, all the rules above can be ignored, because love is the highest priority.